Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityānanda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Vande Guru Nisha Bhakta Nisha Nisha Avatarakan Tat Prakasham Tat Shakti Krishna Chaitanya Sangyakam Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityānanda Sahoditau Gaurudaya Pushpavanatau Chitrau Sandau Tamonudau Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Grantera Rambhakori Mangalacharana Guru Vaishnava Bhagavan Tinera Smarana Hoya Vigana Vinashana Anayasa Sabal Nija Vanchita Purana Shri Rupa Raghunatha Padeyara Asha Caitanya-caritāmṛta kahe Krishna dasa Jai Śrī Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityānanda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear worshipful devotees, thank you so much for joining. And today we also have Keyur Prabhu who has joined us. So thank you so much, Prabhu, for your kind association. I think some of you already know him. He recently moved from Charlotte to Tampa to bless us with his association, and also his good wife, Kokila Mataji, and they're living in Tampa now and giving us their wonderful association. They both are chanting 16 rounds for many, many years. Thank you, Prabhu, for your blessings and association.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So we are reading Caitanya-caritāmṛta, the most nectarian suite, and chapter number 5 in Adi Lila, entitled The Glories of Lord Nityānanda. So we read till text number 35 yesterday. In particular, we are discussing a section about Siddhaloka, about Brahma Jyoti, or the effulgence of the Lord. From text number 32 onwards, this discussion is there. All these are expansions of Sri Balarāma. So this chapter is about Balarāma or Nityānanda. Text number 36, we will read from here today. Yad arinam priyanam cha prapyam ekam ivoditam Tad Brahma Krishna Yor Aikyat Kiranar Kopama Jushoho. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Where it has been stated that the Lord's enemies and devotees attain the same destination, this refers to the ultimate oneness of Brahman and Lord Krishna. This may be understood by the example of the sun and the sunshine, in which Brahman is like the sunshine and Krishna himself is like the sun. Purport. It's a long purport, so I'll just read the maybe first paragraph and I just can read the following paragraphs. This verse is from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.278 of Śrīla Rupa Goswami, who further discusses the same topic in his Lagu Bhāgavata-sevayā Purva 541, where he refers to the Purana 4.15.1, where Maitreya Muni asked Parashara in regard to Jaya and Vijay, how it was that Hiranyakashipu next became Ravana and enjoyed more material happiness than the demigods, but did not attain salvation, although when he became Shishupal, quarreled with Krishna and was killed, he attained salvation and merged into the body of Lord Krishna. Parashara replied that Hiranyakashipu failed to recognize Lord Narasimhadev as Lord Vishnu. He thought that Narasimhadev was some living entity who had acquired such opulence by various pious activities. Being overcome by the mode of passion, he considered that Lord Nrsimhadev, an ordinary living entity, and not understanding his form. Nevertheless, because Hiranyakashipu was killed by the hands of Lord Nrsimhadev, in his next life he became Ravana and had the proprietorship of unlimited opulence. As Ravana, with unlimited material enjoyment, he could not accept Lord Ram as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, even though he was killed by Rama, he did not attain Sayujya, or oneness with the body of the Lord. In his Ravana body, he was too much attracted to Rama's wife, Janaki. And because of that attraction, he was able to see Lord Ram. But instead of accepting Lord Ram as the incarnation of Vishnu, Ravana thought him an ordinary living being. When killed by the hands of Rama, therefore he got the privilege of taking birth as Shishupal, who had such immense opulence that he could not think himself a competitor. That he could think himself a competitor to Krishna. Although Shishupal was always envious of Krishna, he frequently uttered the name of Krishna and always thought of the beautiful features of Krishna. Thus, by constantly thinking and chanting of Krishna, even unfavorably, he was cleansed of the contamination of his sinful activities. When Shishupal was killed by Sudarshan Chakra of Krishna as an enemy, his constant remembrance of Krishna was dissolved. His constant remembrance of Krishna dissolved the reactions of his vices, and he attained salvation by becoming one with the body of the Lord. So, there are more verses, more purport, I mean. Someone wants to read one or two paragraphs from here. It's a longer purport. Anyone? And then we'll discuss. Yes, Lakshay, Prabhu, want to read?
Yes, Koji. From this incident, one can understand that even a person who thinks of Krishna as an enemy and is killed by him may be liberated by becoming one with the body of Krishna. What then must be the destination of a devotee who always thinks favorably of Krishna as the master of men? These devotees must attain a situation better than Brahmaloka, the impersonal bodily effulgence of Krishna. Devotees cannot be situated in the impersonal Brahman effulgence into which impersonalists desire to merge. The devotees are placed in Vaikuntha Loka or Krishna Loka. This discussion between Maitreya Muni and Parashara Muni centered on whether devotees come down into the material world in every millennium like Jaya and Vijaya, who are cursed by the Kumaras to that effect. In the course of these instructions to Maitreya and Hiranyakashipu, Ravana and Sushruta, Parashara did not say that these demons were formerly Jaya and Vijaya. He simply described the transmigration to 3 lives. It is not necessary for the Vaikuntha associates of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to come to take the roles of his enemies in all the millenniums in which he appears. The fall down of Jaya and Vijaya occurred in particular millennium. Jaya and Vijaya do not come down in every millennium to act as demons. To think that some associates of the Lord fall down from Vaikuntha in every millennium to become demons is totally incorrect. Shall you continue reading, Koji?
Okay, you can read one more.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead has all the tendencies that may be found in the living entity, for he is the chief living entity. Therefore, it is natural that sometimes Lord Vishnu wants to fight, just as he has the tendencies to create, to enjoy, to be a friend, to accept a mother and father, and so on. He also has the tendency to fight. Sometimes important landlords and kings keep wrestlers with whom they practice mock fighting. And Vishnu makes similar arrangements. The demons who fight with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the material world are sometimes his associates. When there is a scarcity of demons and the Lord wants to fight, he instigates some of his associates of Vaikuntha to come and play as demons. When it is said that Sushruta merged into the body of Krishna, it should be noted that in this case, he was not Jaya or Vijaya, he was actually a demon. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Who wants to complete this purport? Anyone? Last two small paragraphs.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I can read.
Yes, please.
Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam Jai Srila Prabhupada. In his Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Srila Sanatana Goswami has explained that the attainment of salvation by merging into the Brahman effulgence of the Lord cannot be accepted as the highest success in life, because demons like Kangsha, who were famous for killing brahmanas and cows, attained that salvation. For devotees, such salvation is abominable. Devotees are actually in a transcendental position, whereas non-devotees are candidate for hellish conditions of life. There is always a difference between the life of a devotee and the life of a demon, and their realizations are as different as heaven and hell. Demons are always accustomed to being malicious towards devotees and to killing brahmanas and cows. For demons, merging into the Brahman effulgence may be very glorious, but for devotee, it is hellish. A devotee's aim in life is to attain perfection in loving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who aspire to merge into the Brahman effulgence are as abominable as demons. Devotees who aspire to associate with the Supreme Lord, to render him transcendental loving service, are far superior. Hare Krishna Prabhu, back to you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Name Sankirtan Prabhu and Lakshya Prabhu. This is a big purport which we just read. Maybe I'd like to hear what stuck you from this purport. Any thoughts, comments? Everyone can share maybe one point, because there's a lot to digest in this purport. Anyone? What you read and stuck you, or need reflection in your own words?
So Hare Krishna Prabhu, so the part which I read of the purport, that is the last two paragraphs, here we can see that Prabhupada is stating that the devotees, they don't accept that merging into the effulgence of the Lord. And for them it is hellish, even though they are liberated from this so-called material world. But even though it is in the spiritual world, but even then they don't want to accept that. It is like a hell to them. And the comparison he gave, like a person going to heaven, a person going to hell, in that kind of difference, they are devotees. Because devotees, they want to serve the Lord only. So that's one. And the other thing, Prabhupada has nicely explained from Srila Maitreya Muni and Parashar Muni's discussion in the first part which you read. We understood that not all the millennium, Joy Bijoy comes to fight with Lord. There could be some demons, real demons, and Prabhupada is saying here that according to Parashar Muni, that the Shishupal which marched into Krishna, it was not actually Joy and Vijay. It was real demon. So that's my understanding. And Hare Kṛṣṇa Prabhu, back to you. Please add.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Very, very nice point. This famous verse which comes, Kevalya Narkhaya Pati. So the pleasure of merging into the impersonal effulgence is compared to as hell for a devotee. Why? As Prabhuji explained, and so there's a nice point mentioned here, that attainment of salvation by merging into the impersonal Brahman effulgence of the Lord cannot be accepted as the highest, because demons like Kamsa, who are famous for killing Brahmanas and cows, attain the same salvation. Who wants to go to a place where cow killers and Brahmana killers are present, right? So devotees want to go back home, back to Godhead. They don't want to go to Sayujya Mukti place. The other point here is, what then must be the destination of the devotees? A person who is envious of Krishna got the destination of Sayujya Mukti. This famous verse about Krishna's compassion, Aho bakiyam stanakalakutam jigam saya apyad api asadvi lebhe gatim dhatrimuchitam tatonyam kamva dayalu sharanam rajima. The Putana who came to kill Krishna by putting poison, Kalakuta namak poison, on her breast and to feed that to Krishna, Krishna gave the position as a mother in the spiritual world. Krishna delivered Shishupal and others, Kamsa, and delivered them, gave them the Sayujya Mukti. What to speak of someone who is favorably disposed towards offering one's mind, heart, patram, pushpam, devotional service in a favorable way? Yome bhaktya prayachati. We cannot imagine. This is called Kimutaka Nyaya. If a person who kills others gets a Nobel Prize by the government or gets a very bravery award by the government, what will be the destination? What reward that person will get who is selflessly serving? We cannot fathom that. What will be the destination of the pure devotees of Krishna? We cannot fathom that. So these are some of the points. Now, going back to the translation, where it has been stated that the Lord's enemies and devotees attain the same destination. Yes? Yes or yes? Sometimes
yes.
Sorry, yeah, please tell.
Yes, in a way, it is in the spiritual world. That is, but where is this spiritual world? That is the main distinction. Where Lord is present or not Lord is present. This Satchidananda.
The Brahma, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, the three aspects. So like I say, oh, the sun is up, right? The sun has risen. Now, have I really seen the sun? Let's say it's morning, 8 a.m. Okay. I'm sitting in my room and I see the sun has risen. I may have not seen the sun, correct? But I see the sun rays. But in common terms, we say that and sun there standing, they are the same. Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagwan iti shabdate. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvas. That those who are learning, those who are tattvavid, they understand this, that they are the same, but in different aspect. The sun and the sunrise, there is oneness, but ultimately the Brahman refers to the effulgence and that sun refers to Krishna. So in that way, they may go to Brahman or the Brahman effulgence, the Sayujya Mukti, but they're not, but still there is difference in the realization of that person. So Hiranyakashipu, why he did not get delivered? The reason is, who knows the reason? Why Hiranyakashipu did not get the Sayujya Mukti? Anyone?
Yeah, because he didn't understand that Nishyadev is incarnation of Vishnu. He thought it's like a living entity.
Yes, Prabhupada is explaining that. He just thought that he is an ordinary. And how about Ravana? How about Ravana? Why he did not attain?
Even though he was attracted by, because he was attracted to Mother Sita, and that way he came to know Lord Ram, but he didn't accept Lord Ram also as a incarnation of Vishnu.
As Prabhupada is very nicely mentioned, he could not accept Lord Ram as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hiranyakashipu failed to recognize Lord Nrsimhadev as Lord Vishnu. That's the reason. But on the Shishupal was envious of Krishna. So Shishupal was always meditating. It's very nice, I'll repeat in the purport again. Thus, by constantly thinking and chanting of Krishna, even unfavorably, he was cleansed of the contamination of his sinful activities. And as a result, when he was killed by Krishna, he murdered the body. So there are multiple examples, even real life examples of these cases, that sometimes a person may be enviously chanting Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna people are fools, Hare Krishna people are crazy, they do this, all. So the famous Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur's, there was a reporter who criticized Hare Krishnas in the newspaper. And there was a reporter who glorified the Hare Krishna. But in the criticism, he wrote Krishna more times, Hare Krishna more times, that Hare Krishna people are bad, Hare Krishna people are this, Hare Krishna people are doing this wrong. And when the other, there was like very generic, God is great, this, something like that. So Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur appreciated the article, the one of criticism, because indirectly he's chanting Hare Krishna, even though with criticism like Shishupal, even though in bad intentions, but he's chanting Hare Krishna. There was one time talking about Rath Yatra is coming. Yesterday was Stana Yatra. One devotee Sankirtan party was, they used to do some street Sankirtan in a Western country, I forgot the name. And there was a vegetable seller, like a tomato seller. He would throw tomatoes, rotten tomatoes on these Sankirtan party. Basically envious of them, like Shishupal. But nonetheless, they would give him, the devotees would give him some Mahaprasad, some sweet, some barfi, some laddu, whatever they had available every day, every time they would see. Mar khai prem de. This is Lord Chaitanya. Sade tomato khai is Mahaprasad. After getting the rotten tomatoes on the face, they would give him Mahaprasad. This is Bhakti. Parama Karuna Pahadui Chana. Akaroda Paramananda Nityānanda Rai. I remember His Holiness Bhakti Prem Maharaj, he came to Tampa and explained this bhajan so beautifully. This is the first quality of a preacher. If we have to preach, we have to be ready for this. After getting rotten tomatoes, give the sweetness of and joy of bhakti. That's a preacher. Like Lord Nityaānanda, we're glorifying Lord Nityaānanda. The chapter is the glories of Lord Nityaānanda. Akaroda Paramananda Nityānanda Rai. Abhimana Shunya Nitai Nagare Vedai. Being free from pride, he would go town and village, Amare ke niya lo bolo Gaur Hari. I'm willing to sell myself. You chant Hare Krishna. You chant Gaur Hari. This is Lord Nityaānanda, Balarāma. Back to the story of the rotten tomatoes. So he would also criticize Hare Krishna this, Hare Krishna that, Hare Krishna bad, and but he would chant Hare Krishna. Even though chanting sinfully, doing, but thinking of that, when will they come again? These rotten tomatoes are specially kept for those Hare Krishna. They're going to come in an hour. I'll just throw these tomatoes at them when they come. The Hare Krishnas are going to come. Like that, even one chants jokingly or with envy or with impurities or whatever state one chants, the holy name is all pure. And it purifies, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, it purifies the most sinful, like Jagai, Madai, or Shishupal, anyone. So as a result, by constant remembrance of Krishna, dissolve the reactions of his vices. So beautifully written. Constant remembrance of Krishna, even though unfavorably. Although this is not the best mood, we are not saying to imitate Shishupal or following his footsteps, but this is the glories of the holy name. Even a sinful person, even an envious person gets so much benefit. So finally, the heart of this person who was envious of devotees, he realized his mistake, that these are such great souls. For many, many weeks, I have been throwing tomatoes in them, and they have been giving so much love, kindness, and these wonderful sweets to me. And then there came the day of Rath Yatra, and he sponsored all the hundreds of pounds of tomatoes were required. He sponsored all that. Good ones, not the rotten ones. So that's the power of holy name. It purifies Mangalam api Mangalebhyo pi. This is the most pavitra, most auspicious, most purest of the pure, that even an impure person chants, or any connection of Krishna, whether through books, through prasad, through holy name, through devotees, or in any form, no matter what the background may be. Patra apatra nahi dekhi sthan sthan. Lord Chaitanya's movement is such that who is qualified, who is not qualified, he did not see that, because in Kali Yuga everyone is disqualified. If we take, no one is having that Brahmanical culture, it's pretty much gone. So, but this movement is for everyone. So we covered a lot of points. Any more thoughts, comments here before we move to the next one? In short, we should have a mood of favorable, loving, devotional service towards Lord. That's the sum and substance. 37. Who wants to read this one? Yes, dear Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu, please.
Taise para vyome nana shakti vilasa nirvishesha jyotirbimbam bahire prakasha. Tais. You want me to read synonyms or not? That's fine. Okay, thanks. Thus, in the spiritual sky, there are varieties of pastimes within spiritual energy. Outside the Vaikuntha planets appears the impersonal reflection of light.
Any comments, Prabhuji? Thank you for reading.
Here just Prabhuji, what Vaikuntha and what is outside of Vaikuntha. One liner.
Wonderful. So inside Vaikuntha is the varieties of pastimes within the spiritual energy. There is no Bahiranga Shakti. There's no Mahamaya. It is Yogamaya potency, spiritual energy of the Lord. And with that, there are multiple pastimes, Shantiras, Dasiras, Sakhiras, Vatsalyaras, Madhuryaras, and all these different rasas and variegatedness, which we have already read. And outside is the impersonal reflection of light. So we want to be insiders. We don't want to just be outside. And we just discussed why also in the last verse. So you want to be joyful, joyfully engaged in varieties of spiritual rasas. That's spiritual world. 38. Who wants to read? Yes, Vaswati Mataji, want to read?
Text 38. Nirbishesho Brahmo Shei Kebol Jyotirmoy Shajujjer Odhikari Taha Paeloy. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. That impersonal Brahman effulgence consists only of the effulgent rays of the Lord. Those fit for Sayujya liberation march into that effulgence. So here, in the translation, Prabhupada is describing that the impersonal Brahman, which is actually the effulgence of the Lord, and who are liberated by this Sayujya Mukti, they only march to that effulgence. Back to Prabhu. Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Thank you, Mataji. So I think we've discussed this point again, confirmed here. So Sayujya Mukti, the fifth type of liberation, is to merge with the Supreme Lord in his impersonal effulgence. Those who are fit for this, who are these people? Just to clarify, who are these people? Anyone? Who are these?
They don't believe in the personal form of the God. They don't believe in the form.
They don't believe in the form of God.
They remember Lord in Ripubhav.
In?
Ripubhav, the enemy.
So
Envious. Yeah, demons.
Kamsa, Shishupal-like people, envious, jealous, trying to harm. And one more point we read yesterday, those who also believe in their own strength. I will go, I can do this.
Very good
Those
point.
who are deprived of humility. Yes, Sri Sankirtan Prabhu?
That's a nice point, Prabhu. Yes. Thank you.
Jnanis, yogis, I am a big jnani. I deserve this. So that's also not a very healthy devotional mood. Okay. 39 wants to read this.
Can I read, Prabhu?
Yes, please, Prabhuji. Yes.
Hare Kṛṣṇa, everyone. Text 39. Siddhalokastu tamasha pariyatra vasanti hai siddha brahma sukhe magna daityascha harina hataha. Translation purport by Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta ki Jai. Beyond the region of ignorance, the material cosmic manifestation, lies the realm of Siddhaloka. The Siddhas reside there, absorbed in the bliss of Brahma. Demons killed by the Lord also attain the realm. Read? Purport. See?
Tamas means darkness. The material world is dark, and beyond the material world is light. In other words, After passing through the entire material atmosphere, one can come to the luminous spiritual sky. Impersonal effulgence is known as Siddhaloka. Mayavadi philosophers who aspire to merge the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as well as demonic persons who are killed by Krishna, such as Kamsa and Shishupala, entered that Brahman effulgence. Yogis who attain oneness through meditation, according to Patanjali Yoga system, also reach Siddhaloka. This is a verse from Brahmanda Purana.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
And Prabhu and Chikrika are so nicely reading. Any comments, Prabhu? Any points you want to share?
I got confused, Prabhuji, but there is what I understand through properties, there are different ways to reach Siddhaloka. One way is by doing the yogic process, Patanjali yogic system, and other way is doing the meditation, and the last one is the demons who are killed by Krishna are also reached Siddhaloka. That's what I understood, but I might have missed the connection here. Sorry, Prabhu, please correct me. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. You said it right. Yeah, the devotees are not aspiring to go there. As we discuss, it's like hell for them. They'll better go in hell than to go in, impersonal effulgence. So I think we discussed this chart. So beyond, that's mentioned here, beyond the region of ignorance, Siddhalokastu tamasa pare. So this world is called Jad Jagat. So there are different types of Ananda. I mean, it's very hard to see here. Let me use my whiteboard. So material world, consider material world. Then the causal ocean. Then impersonal Brahman effulgence. And then finally, the spiritual world, which has multiple categories. This is material world. Excuse my, this is Brahma, Jyoti, or impersonal effulgence. So there are three types of pleasures. One is called Jadananda. This material world is called Jad Jagat, Tamas Loka. Tamas is mentioned here. Siddhalokastu tamasa pare. So tamas, in this material world, the pleasure of the senses is considered the highest, which is very, very the lowest, because this material world is the reflection of the spiritual world, as explained in Bhagavata 15.1. It's very, very, this is very, very low class. Then comes the Brahmananda. The pleasure of, as mentioned here, absorbed in the bliss of Brahman or Brahmananda. Sukhe, Brahma Sukhe or Brahmananda Magna. Siddha, Brahmananda Magna. They are absorbed in Brahmananda or Brahma Sukhe. But this is not the real happiness either. Devotees are aspiring for Premananda, happiness in the spiritual world, in loving reciprocation in variegated rasas, like Mata Yashoda and Krishna, like Krishna's friends, Gopal Bals, like cows in Goloka Vrindavan, friends and different birds, peacocks, so many varieties of rasas. So this is basically what's discussed in this verse. So demons, Mayavadis, Patanjali's yoga system, Ashtanga yoga, yam, niyam, asan, pranam, pranayam, dharana, dhyan, samadhi. They also, most people, say, oh, focus on the light within, focus on the jyoti, focus on the inconceivable dot or something. Or, there are a lot of people like that, lot of groups like that who don't believe in the form of the Lord. That's basically their destination. Dandadhar, even the Mayavadi sannyas, they hold the staff that has a ekadandi sannyas. Dandadhariyena matrena nar narayan bhavet. Nar will become Narayan by holding the staff. That's also Mayavadi conception. Which therefore the Vaishnava sannyas has 3 dandi, which means kaya, vacha, manasa, body, mind, and soul, and the body, mind, and words, and the little 4th curved stick, which represents the soul, all engaged in the service of the Supreme Soul or Śrī Krishna. That's the difference in the Ekadanda and 3 dandis sannyasi. There you go. Yes, Mataji.
Guruji, can I ask, though it's not, maybe not related, but I'm just curious to know, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu actually delivered Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was impersonalist, and then Caitanya Mahāprabhu delivered him and make him bhakta. So that means like, is that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's mukti was Sayujya Mukti too, or?
Please say that again. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya delivered.
It's Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu delivered Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and he was impersonalist. He was before he made Caitanya Mahāprabhu. But after he made Caitanya Mahāprabhu delivered him, and he became the bhakta. He realized Caitanya Mahāprabhu. And so that means like it transformed. That means his mukti was Sayuya Mukti or other kind of.
Once if they understand, once they understand by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya the real truth, then they have transcended that state, right? Then they are no more Mayavadis or impersonalist. So then they are basically pure bhaktas. Similar case with the 4 Kumaras. By getting the fragrance of the tulasi from the lotus feet of the Lord, they became bhaktas from the impersonalist state. There are multiple other such examples also. The devotees at Banaras, they were also impersonalist, but they appreciated Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya did some service, and then Lord Chaitanya helped delivered them. So there are multiple such examples. So in short, the past does not matter as long as one is open to receiving the right knowledge and open to accepting, receiving, accepting, and applying. Then past does not matter. Even in our ISKCON society, a lot of people may have so many hodgepodge philosophy in the past, right? This is God, I am God, you are God, we all are God, right? So many people come with different backgrounds. But as long as they come and then they understand that whatever they knew from whatever sources was wrong, and now they come to the true understanding by the proper scriptures and proper gurus, past does not matter. Every saint had a past. Every sinner has a future.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you for your thoughtful question, Mataji. Any other comments or additions here? Okay, so we read text number 39. Let's read one more verse before we pause. Text number 40. Anyone feeling inspired who is not yet read?
I'll try, Prabhu.
Yes, yes.
Hare Kṛṣṇa. Sai para vyome Narayanera chari pase Dwaraka chatur vyuhera Dvitiya prakase. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada ki jai. In this spiritual sky, on the four sides of Narayana are the second expansions of quadruple expansions of Dwaraka. Purport: within the spiritual sky is a second manifestation of the quadruple forms of Dwaraka from the abode of Krishna. Among these forms, which are all spiritual and immune to the material modes, Sri Baladeva is represented as Sankarshana. The activities in the spiritual sky are manifested by the internal potency in pure spiritual existence. They expand in 6 transcendental opulences, which are all manifestations of Mahasankarshana, who is the ultimate reservoir of objective of all living entities. Although belonging to the material potency known as Jiva Shakti, the spiritual sparks known as the living entities are subjected to the conditions of material energy. This is because these sparks are related with both the internal and external potencies of the Lord, that they are known as belonging to the marginal potency. Okay. Lord, that they are known as belonging to the marginal potency. In considering the quadruple forms of the absolute personality of Godhead, known as Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha, the impersonalities, personalists headed by Sripada Shankaracharya have interpreted the aphorisms, I believe, Prabhu, pronunciation, presence of Vedanta Sutra in a way suitable for the impersonalist school to provide the intrinsic import of such aphorisms. However, Srila Rupa Goswami, the leader of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavana, has properly replied to the impersonalist in his Lagu Bhāgavata-sevayā, which is a natural commentary on the aphorisms of the Vedanta Sutra. The Padma Purana, as quoted by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Lagu Bhāgavata-sevayā, describes that in the spiritual sky there are 4 directions corresponding to east, west, north, and south, in which Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna are situated. The same forms are also situated in the material sky. The Padma Purana also describes a place in the in the spiritual sky known as Vedavati Pura, where Vasudeva resides. In Vishnuloka, which is above Satyaloka, Sankarshana resides. Mahasankarshana is another name of Sankarshana. Pradyumna lives in Dwarakapura, and Aniruddha lives on the eternal bed of Sesha, generally known as Anantasaya, on the island called Sweta Dvipa in the ocean of milk. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I think a lot of information. My memory in Kali Yuga very less. For me to remember, I think I have to read multiple times. But one point though, which I observed, I think Adi Shankaracharya is mentioned in the purport by Prabhupada, and I think he's compared against, his ideology of Aham Brahmasmi, I think, right? Adi Shankaracharya was saying that was compared against the forms by Prabhupada. I was thinking about there are many devotees who follow Adi Shankaracharya, right? And there's a famous Bhaja Govindam also by Adi Shankaracharya. We discuss about it in our Telugu Bhagavad Gita class also. We bring this topic up multiple times as well. So he also mentioned multiple times to meditate upon Govinda or Smaranam, right? Govinda Smaranam or Govinda, chanting about Govinda and so forth. But I think I'm not too much known about him or his preachings, but all I know is he did identify that the God is within, or he preached saying that God is within us, within the same person. But here in the purport, Prabhupada is comparing against his preachings to that of Srila. Sorry, Prabhu, I don't remember the Prabhuji's name, but
no worries, Mataji. Yeah. Thank you.
So that is clearly explained here. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, there's some more background by Adi Shankaracharya. He's basically the partial incarnation of Lord Shiva, and he is like why he appeared. It's a long discussion. Is basically to before that, this philosophy of Buddha was prominent. Even before Buddha, was that Vedas were being used for selfish sense gratification purposes, like animal slaughter for the tongue and stuff like that. So Lord Buddha came and said, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Forget Vedas, forget scriptures, forget everything, just focus on Shanti, peace. And then there's a verse that Lord Shiva mentions that he would be coming in the guise, in the chanda, and preach the impersonal philosophy. Why? To uproot. Now it's interesting, Lord Buddha was born in the area of Bihar somewhere about 2,500 years back. But there's very little of Buddhism in India. Why? Because the followers of Shankaracharya uprooted so just imagine, like the example is given like a pendulum. Clear this. So This is a pendulum, just imagine like a pendulum here. And so the scriptures are meant to be used in the right way. So, but they had been totally taken into the one extreme, is that Vedas and scriptures were used for sense gratification and selfish agendas. Right? Then came, so this is like prior to Buddha or Buddhism. He said, forget everything. Forget scriptures, shanti, shanti, shanti. Just neutral, be neutral, don't harm others, that's it. These are not very high teachings. He said, ignore the Vedas, just focus on the peace, so peace. What, and Lord Buddha is also the incarnation of the Supreme Lord. But the focus was, when a person is hardcore into wrong things, the pendulum from one extreme to the other extreme cannot go immediately. So time and again, dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yoge yoge. So Krishna comes himself or through his incarnations or through his devotees. And then came Shankaracharya, who moved the pendulum a little forward, right? Then came others like Ramanujacharya, etc., who uprooted the impersonalist. And then finally, Lord Chaitanya established the real purpose of scriptures, the real yoga dharma, the real personal philosophy, and of course, the Shad Goswamis. So this is basically who moved, he said, okay, that the scriptures are there, but it's the impersonalist. You and I, everyone is same, everyone can become God and all that. He said about, as you rightly quoted, Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, a lot of bhajans are there. Even a lot of the Gita Mahatmya prayers are also by Adi Shankaracharya. There's a lot of good things, but the point is the scriptures, prati shloke, prati akshare, nana arthe koi. So some people, for their own reasons, can misinterpret and derive an impersonalist conclusion from the same verse, right? So basically then came the other acharyas, and then they slowly and gradually moved the pendulum the right direction, from first establish the Vedas, Shankaracharya, etc. In the impersonalist way, then the personal philosophy, Ramanujacharya, Madhava, etc. Then finally Lord Chaitanya, and the pendulum was put in the right spot. So that's the analogy given by multiple devotees in this connection, and also explain the Jiva Tattva. The Jivas are the marginal energy, Tathastha Shakti. They have the choice. They can either be connected to the spiritual or the material. They have a choice, right? Based on the choices we make, we get the next destination. Our next destination could be in the spiritual world. If we make the right choice to connect to the spiritual energy, our next choice could be Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, if we keep interacting only with the material energy. Any more thoughts, comments anyone has?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I'm not going to forget this pendulum anymore. Very well explained. Thank you. Hare Kṛṣṇa.
So, yes, it's time. Is Priya, Mataji, Ravi Prabhu, have a thought or comment? Any other comments before we pause? Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta ki jai, Śrī Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Śrī Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath, Śrī Jiva Gopala Bhattadasa Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namo. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.